Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Byron Enriquez on the JSS Podcast. We have a special guest today. We're trying to get in the little transition and without just me talking all the time, because I know it can get a little boring. So we're trying to bring in some fun and exciting guests and people that I think bring a lot of value to our team, bring our value to our community. So today we have Adam Schechter here with us with Keller Williams.
Yes.
Luxury, right?
Yes.
Adam has a vast experience. We're going to talk about a couple different things and some real estate, some sports, some family life, some little bit of Hollywood, maybe. I don't know. Maybe not Hollywood. But yeah, appreciate you being here with us.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining. We have a little...
Yeah, we'll have some fun.
We'll have some fun today.
I know. He's my guy with this. I love this.
So anyway, yeah, one of the things that, when we were kind of working on setting this up, going through your bios and going through your social media stuff. And one of the things we were already talking about, and you're big on the social media space, for real estate, but, literally be off camera, we were talking about the fact that as realtors, as lenders, as, sometimes people are focusing more on the social media than the actual business that they're promoting.
Correct.
Right. So talk a little bit about that, how you see that, I know you got to have your foot in both worlds, right?
Yeah. So like with social media, it's fun. Again, like, I have a ton of friends in my office too. Like they're so good at social media, but it gives you a glimpse of like who you are as a person. So like for people to come in and look at you, they kind of get a sense of like who you are as a person, right? So like I use my kid in my videos, I'm a dad, I'm fun, like I'm very charismatic, like I'm very passionate about my business. And I like people to see that from like a video aspect of like, hey, this is supposed to be a fun thing to do, right? Like real estate is fun, transactions, like I don't do the whole stress thing. Like I want it to be an enjoyable time for everybody, so it gives me a glimpse of like, here's who I'm gonna get. I'm very professional too at the same time, but I like to have fun and I want everyone to enjoy the time they have with me, working with me. So
yeah, no, and and I'm glad you said it, because that's kind of our same approach. And we have a podcast and we do social media stuff, but really for us, our approach has always been, our social media, our podcast isn't necessarily to generate business. It's more to people who are coming and want to do business with us. They kind of get an idea of who we are.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
What we stand for. I've been doing this for 25 years, right? I know you're a little bit younger than me. I've been in this 25 years. I know it doesn't seem that way. Maybe more actually. Yeah, 20. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. I've always said, and I taught sales, I've given speeches for hundreds of people and all this stuff. I wrote a whole thing, manual on sales. And I always said, people do business with people that they like.
Absolutely.
Right. And all these sales gurus that people pay and stuff, they forget that, that you still have to be likable. Right. And I think with the social media aspect, right, you can kind of bridge the gap where people can see who you are and what you like to do. And obviously you have to have a little bit of fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's difference between like business and business professional, and like I'm also just a guy who's a dad, who's a friend, a cousin, a son, everything, and like there's no reason you can't mix the two,
Yeah, no, definitely. So talk a little bit about it. You mentioned it a couple times, and I know that's a big part of your presence online, but also in your bio on your Instagram about being a dad, right? And I think your daughter's name is Oakley,
yes,
right? And it's like, tell us about how becoming a dad, because I have my own experience with that, but becoming a dad, how does that change your outlook on life? How does that change your value of success, right? And what you're doing and why you're doing it?
It changed everything for me. It changed the way I looked at life, the way I acted in the real world, because I wasn't expecting to be a dad, and then once you're a dad, you're like, oh, wow, like it's time to grow up and, and hit the pavement. But no, she's my world, man. And I do everything for her. I'm trying to build the castle for her. She's my little princess. So it's, and that's why I try to get her involved a little bit. She actually enjoys it, which is fun. Like she's like, Daddy, can we do a video? And like for me, it's like, like for her, maybe one day she'll be an agent, maybe she'll be a veterinarian. I don't know, but she likes doing stuff with me. And like for me, that's everything that I can do what I love and my passion and share with my daughter and have a good time doing that. And I think it's like the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, our producer here, right? Is my son. And
shout out to Seth.
Yeah. And that's, to me, that was always a big thing too, right? I got started in the business young. I became a young dad as well. And it was that, and it's like when he got a little bit older, he was like, Dad, I've been listening to you on the phone, doing sales and talking about mortgage and finance stuff for my whole life. And it was just kind of a natural progression. And then when he said to me, he was like, hey, I'd love to join the family business and learn and try to do that, and so to me, that's obviously it's a something that you can be proud of, right? And be like, okay, all right, this is it. And is that building the castle. And I always talk about building a legacy,
Absolutely.
right? Something to leave behind to the people that matter, right? So we can give them a good life while we're here, but also something that we can eventually step back and say, oh, look, I did this for you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because
Right.
at that point, it's not about us anymore. It's about them. So
No, definitely. So digging a little bit into your kind of your past, and one of the things that stood out to me a lot, is football, right? Football. So tell us a little bit about the journey and some of the accomplishments and how that transitioned into the real estate and the leadership aspects that come with that.
yeah. So football, started when I was like 6 years old, and just went up. I played up all the way to Division I football.
Georgia State, right?
Yeah, so I went to JUCO with some of my high school buddies. We went to JUCO, moved around, went to a school in Washington, and I was like, this is not it. I should have just stayed back one more year. I felt a little pressure. I'm not gonna lie, my parents, they wanted the best for me, but when you get a 4-year scholarship, you're like, what, it's a burden off my parents.
Yeah.
Everything's free, just take it, right? And I was so miserable there, and I was like, this is not the last 16 years of my life, what I was building, worked so hard for. Came back and then ended up going to Georgia State with my JUCO quarterback, and that was very fun. Learned a lot, and because of football, that has shown me just teamwork. Obviously, work ethic is a big thing too, but and especially in the business world, it's like I truly believe that teamwork does make the dream work. I know it sounds so cheesy when you say it out loud, but I mean, I tell agents, I say, look, hey, at the end of the day, me and you are also a team too. And whether it's I have the buyers, you have the sellers, or vice versa, we have to work together as a team to make this transaction happen for everybody, and everybody has to win. So I firmly believe in that. And I think football, I was a captain a lot of time. I was a leader. And I think that helped me, succeed where I'm at now but I'm also, I learned to listen too. So sometimes, even though you're a leader, you still have to be a listener.
You have to be coachable.
And you have to be, and 100%. And if you're not coachable, then you're not doing yourself justice. So, and they always say, when a coach stops giving you shit, that's when you know that you're not doing the right thing, right? So if they keep giving you, then that's a good thing. So yeah.
No, you're right, and I get it, because that's been my life too. I've been in a lot of big sports, and I did baseball, but same thing, right? And I've always been of the mentality, and some of the thing I teach my kids, and I've taught sales, different organizations that I've led, is outworking everybody, right? That grind, that if you're just sitting still, somebody's gonna get better than you. I've always been a big Kobe guy, because of the work ethic.
Same, I love
right?
it, yeah.
And all of that stuff that goes with that. And I think sports has a direct correlation to success in business and a lot of different things, right? But for us, sales and business and being able to work with others. Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that. I'm actually closing 2 transactions today.
Nice, congrats.
Thank you.
That's always good.
Yeah, it always makes a good day, right? But it's been it's been there's so many pieces, and everybody's kind of are arguing. And I got brought in at the end of the day. We in our hard money style, and we've saved the day. Everybody was screaming, and I said, "Hey guys, remember, we're all trying to do the same goal, goal here.
Same goals.
We're all trying to score. We're all trying to close this transaction. How about we listen to each other and figure out what's needed?" And they're like, "Oh, okay." What do you need? I was like, "I need this, this, and that." Boom, get it to me. We'll close. Boom. And we did, right? And it's just, once you take that away, that I'm trying to outwork you, or I'm trying to be better than you and show you, puff my chest and tell you that, I'm like, doesn't matter. We're all getting paid.
Yeah.
So let's just get it done.
It's very true. Transparency is everything. Communication, it's everything.
Yeah. So going into, you said, so you had the football career, and it's transitioned into what now you're, at Keller Williams, and you're doing some luxury real estate and stuff. How did you start in the kind of the standard residential side and then kind of work your way up, or you went straight luxury?
Some of my friends will see this, and again, I regret it. What I did is I want to go with the big dogs, right? I want to go to Beverly Hills. I'm like, I'm just going to go straight for it, roll with the big dogs, and I'm going to learn from the best of the best, right? And I realized the best of the best don't have time for you. And I needed some mentorship, right? I needed a little bit of coaching, because I am coachable, right? And then just became a point where, it wasn't even about me and my business. It was more about them and their business. And again, my last mentor was great. I'm very thankful. This guy named David, I'm very thankful for him. He put me in check, but it was just, I was living in Simi, going to Beverly Hills, and then I had a kid, and I'm just like, I was doing a few a year, and I was always doing serving or project management, or, working on developments or projects or whatever it was. So I learned a lot about real estate in that way. And some of the guys I worked for when I first started, they were, big investor development guys. So that's where it's transitioned my business now, where I work with a lot of investors, developers. I find the worst properties on the street and we turn them into those, beautiful prom queen style houses. And it's been working. So
Yeah.
I'm very grateful though. But yeah, I had to make the switch to Keller. It's just better for my situation, for my family. And I think it was the best. Actually, I know it's the best decision I've ever made in my life, for sure.
Good. Yeah. And I see that a lot of times with people. It's like, we all want to, go straight to the top, and you want to learn from those guys. But like, you're right. I've been there, right? Where the guys that are at the top, they're there for a reason. And they usually, this business is so competitive.
Very.
That's one of the things, like when I got started in the business, and this is, again, like I said, 25 years ago, it was like nobody wanted to teach you anything, right? Nobody wanted to teach. Like my first job, I got a job at a mortgage company, and the guy literally throws a spreadsheet at me, and he says, "Go get loans." And I was like, "Okay."
It's like, go make calls.
And I did. And like, this was 02, 01, where it's like, you would just sit there and telemarket people. And I was like, what do I tell them? It's like, ask them what they want a loan. It's like, well, nobody wants a loan. They need a loan, but nobody just wants a loan.
Yeah.
It was, so that really sparked an interest in me to like educate and teach. And like I said, I've written manuals on sales. I've written, different, and I've taught sales for years at different organizations, and I've grown different organizations for that same purpose, because I never thought, that's one of the things for me that's missing in this business is good education.
Oh, it's
right?
so key. Yeah.
Good education on how to sell. And I think that's gotten better, where there's a lot of mentorship and different skill sets are being taught, but also how to be a manager and how to lead. That's something that's not I wrote an article for the Scotsman's Guide about this years ago, how most organizations will take your top sales leader, promote him to manager. Don't give them any manager skills.
Yeah.
And then watch their production drop, and then complain to that same manager, "Hey, why did production drop?"
So interesting. That's very true though.
And it's just like, well, you made me a manager, so you took away my production, but I don't know how to tell people to do what I do.
Yeah.
So I created some programs to teach managers and how to lead and how to do so, right? You can be a good salesman. There's different skill sets.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely lacking in this market, in this business, and a lot of things that we do.
Yeah. And I think some of the things like that too is, people who are, these big dogs that they don't want to go into like that mentorship role or leader role, because they know that deep down the people below them don't do the same work ethic as them, or possibly, right? So it's like the fear of like, well, you're not doing what I do every single day. I grind every single day and day and night. So it's like but sometimes those ones that are great at it, but I've seen pros and cons with that, and some people just.
But do you see that, or do you also see that maybe it's like there's a little bit of like the old timer guy saying, "Hey, if I teach you my secret, you're gonna beat me."
But right? But I guess you can give me the secret, but am I gonna produce and put in the work to go with that secret? Just the way you did?
No, and I agree. And I don't think it should be that way, right? I think, first of all, I think there's plenty of business for everybody, right? There's plenty of stuff, right? But I think there's just both sides of it, right? Where it's, hey, I'm a micromanager. It's like, I monopolize everything. I do things my way, and I don't want anybody to touch it.
Yeah.
Or is it, hey, if I tell you how I do stuff, are you going to take my business away from me? Because I've seen both.
Oh no,
I've seen both, which sucks, right? Because I think there's, again, I think I don't know. I'm more of a education guy, and that's just my passion has always been teaching people and kind of showing the way, and to my detriment at times, my fault, and I've lost out on production because I taught, spending time mentoring and teaching others.
Yeah.
One of the things that also that stood out for me in like your bio and things that you talk about is your mentorship to young athletes.
Yeah.
Right. Tell us about, what your passion behind that is, and how that, fulfills you,
Because growing up, that's kind of what I dealt with my whole life. I was an athlete. I was playing football, baseball, basketball, everything. And it's like, I think it's so key as a young kid too, because again, you have like your parents who are one side of it, and you have like the coaches who are on the other side of it. And I realize, as you get older, and sadly, politics does take a play into the sports world. But and I think I look back at some of the coaches that, Like I was on this team when I was like 13. We were the Green Machine Vikings, and my coaches, they were so hard ass cutthroat, but it's because they wanted the best of us and they wanted to bring that out of us as young kids. And till this day, man, it's like we walk around, we're like, Green Machine, you see front of the guys and you're like, dude, we went through hell. But at a young age, it was so key for us for like our future that we look back now like, wow, thank God that we went through that. Thank God we did this with these coaches and they put us through these and they put us in these tough situations. But they guided us to help get out of them, right? And that's like you put in the real world now, where when I got done playing football, I went to go coach for one of my old coaches at Chatsworth High, and we went to CIF, and I coached these amazing kids. I was coaching receivers, I was doing like co-offensive coordinator and stuff like that, and it was just I have just a passion of like, because I've been on both sides. As I've had some coaches that were not so amazing and just like, I don't want to talk about that, but then I have some coaches that were absolutely amazing, and I'm like, this is what this is why they're here. This is what they're here to do, this and help us. So when I got a chance to coach kids, I'm like, this is like, it was like a calling almost, right? And it was a blessing, great opportunity. I still talk to them to this day. Would coach, even like younger kids, do one-on-one training, 8 to 10-year-olds, kind of stuff like that. Kids are going into junior high and then high school. So it's definitely fulfilling for sure. But I'd love to get back, and that's kind of like my thing, especially young kids.
And it's fun, right? I think it's
very fun.
Part of it is again, one of the things we were talking about, how this business and anything, it's like we're always on call, you're always doing stuff, but it's really nice to be able to let your personality shine and let make time for the fun stuff, right? Because if not, then what's this all about?
Exactly.
I've gotten to the point of my career, my age too, where it's just I'm like, it's not worth it. I've been that guy when I started that I'd answer every single call, no matter what time it was, and I've gotten I've been blessed enough to kind of write my own rules per se for some of that stuff.
You're your own boss. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So that definitely helps. I mean, but it's also, if I don't answer, hey, nobody's paying the bills,
Absolutely.
My wife actually posted something this morning because we were on vacation a couple weeks ago in Mexico, and there's the whole reel of me on the phone, and so she posted it this morning. She was like, congratulations to all 16 people that talk to my husband more than I do, or something like that. So going back to the social media trends, right?
Yeah. You see what I did on Disneyland? I did a Disneyland one because I was with my girlfriend and my daughter, and I was like, you're a real estate dad, but you're at Disneyland, and I'm taking I'm on like the swings and like the roller coasters, taking phone calls. It's pretty funny, but
yeah, my wife has a whole thing. I mean, we were
so funny
hiking pyramids, and I'm sitting there closing a deal on a pyramid in Mexico. Like I'm just sitting there, and I'm like at the top. And she always says also, when I get a call, I start pacing back and forth like if I'm in the CIA or something.
That's so funny. Oh my god.
So I mean, but look, that's what we do, right? And that's
part of it.
It's part of why we do what we do for our families and for our kids and wanting to build something. Yeah. And I think that's that, I mean, kind of following, we're in one of the same networking groups on Wednesdays, so the Coffee and Collab, and kind of seeing your success and seeing, how you stand out and some of that stuff has always, brought attention to us. And we're like, oh, you know what? That's somebody, we want to have you on the podcast, right? To talk a little bit about, those experiences. But, I enjoy seeing younger generations kind of evolving the business into a way, and you guys are definitely doing things that 100% differently than the way I did it. We used to mailers, that was the way we did business. We telemarketed.
Still works, dude.
It's, what, I that's one of the things I tell people. Some of the tried and true stuff still works.
Yeah.
Right. But it's just being creative and how you evolve that. One of the things that you talk about in your bio, and it's the white glove service, right? That you offer, because I know you deal with a lot of entertainment, and you deal with athletes, and you deal with the high end kind of developers, and so tell us a little bit about what sets you apart and how you do that white glove service.
So, if you're a first time home buyer, you're a $5 million developer, you get treated exactly the same way. And that's like, I'm true to my heart with that. And I crack the same dad jokes to my first time home buyers that I do to my 70-year-olds that are downsizing, and they're living in their, the home they're going to spend the rest of their lives in. So I think, I'm so overly just like myself, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think people appreciate that because, you're like, why? It's like, I have my producer, I treat the same way as my 75-year-old, and then my 21-year-olds that, they're buying their first home. So it's all the same thing, right? And I think the white glove service is so true because everyone deserves that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know, especially when you work with me, like everything, attention to detail, transparent communication. I want the experience to go so well, and I want you to enjoy yourself and have fun. Like it should be fun, right? Especially like, and like we live one life, man. And I truly believe like I want to enjoy it, and I love meeting people. I'm a huge relationship guy, and my dad was like super same way, you know. So but yeah, I think that everyone should get that for sure.
I think it's true. I mean, that's exactly how we model our business as well.
Yeah.
And it's that same thing. It's just, I think people forget about that, right? And it's a lot of realtors and a lot of lenders and a lot of, you know, it's transactions. It's like, hey, you know, you're my commission, you're my next check, you're my next, you know, and it's that relationship, and it's that, you know, bringing joy to somebody, first time home buyer. It's saying, hey, I put you in that first house. And I have a ton of people who, you know, over the years have come to me and says, you know, hey, you helped me buy my new house. Now I'm here. Now I'm doing this. Those are all cool things.
Pretty cool, yeah, it is.
You know, but also, you know, seeing that developer or seeing that, you know, high-end guy where it's just like, oh, I helped you buy a $10 million house, or I helped you finance, you know, a development, you know, and those things are cool too, right? To be able to say, you know, I had a little piece of that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's you know, there's definitely excitement in it, and there's like stress in between too. But it's like, you know, like when I watch my guys like flip houses and stuff too, I'm like, here's this, like, you know, I would call it like the ugly duckling, and then it's like a beautiful swan after, and you're like, and you see the whole process. You know, like I have to go tomorrow to one of my projects in out in Glendale, but it's like they're just gutting the whole thing, and they're adding on another room and another bathroom, and they're rearranging the 3-car garage, and it's like you're watching that whole process, and you're like, and it's like it's pretty amazing, honestly.
It is.
So and everything behind the scenes, no one understands what goes on behind the scenes with permits and all, and the holding costs and the money, and like a lot goes into it, right? Yeah. So it's fun. It's fun, stressful, but it's also, you know.
Yeah, no, I know. A lot of our clients is that. A lot of our clients is that. You know, we'll finance a lot of that, like those construction projects. And my mind doesn't work that way. So like, I have clients that like, oh, I can do this and this, and I was like, how do you even think about that?
Yeah.
Right. It takes that other mentality, that other mindset, that other half of your brain, I think, to be able to look at a project and say, oh, this can be this.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a finance numbers, and I'm like, oh, look, A plus B equals C, and that's, you made it happen.
Yeah.
You know,
it's beneficial too, because like, again, I'm very grateful for like when I first started real estate, I was working with developers and investors. So now it's like, I mean, I've done, you know, I don't know how many I've done this year just so far, but like investment property wise, but I've done a handful. But I go in the house by myself, and I go, hey guys, this is what we need to do. Here's price per square foot. Here's what it's going to need. Here's how much it's going to cost. Here's the time frame I believe it's going to happen. But they trust me.
Yeah.
And we move, and it's like, but it makes it easier for everybody. And I tell the agents too, I say, hey, look, I have very long time experience in this. My guys trust me. This is kind of the way it's blended to work. And then again, like, you know, we'll do inspections or something small like that. But I go, hey, here's what it is. I give it to them. I give them all their numbers, and they double check. Yeah, okay, you're spot on. All right, we'll move forward, offer, and then we do it, right? So, but it's experience. It's, you know, learning, like all the way through. Like, you know, again, it wasn't easy, but it's a lot of knowledge, and that knowledge, again, experience and knowledge takes you very far. So
yeah, I mean, and I think that does speak to the experience and the relationships you have, right? It's like where people can come in and trust you. They know exactly, you know, if you're talking about, oh, we can do this or we can do that, right? It's they're not second guessing you, right? Because you have that track record. And I think that, again, that plays a big part in sales. Is, you know, I always say it's, you have to talk the talk, but you also have to back it up. Yeah. Right. And you have that expertise, that resume to be able to say, look, I've done this before, right? We've succeeded in these projects. And I think that speaks enormously to the clients you're getting, and you know, how you're representing them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right? Trust is everything.
Trust is everything.
Trust, transparency, communication, it's everything.
No, I completely agree. So we talked a little bit about, you know, kind of background and what you're doing now. What interests me a lot more, and especially seeing, you know, like, and I say younger just because I'm an older guy, but like, I know you've been in the business for a while, but what's next? Like, what's your vision? I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. What's the next steps? You know, where dreaming big, and you say, look, here's where I want to be. Yeah. Like, you know, tell us a little bit about those dreams.
Yeah. So, you know, it's funny. I'm talking with my team lead right now, and we're trying to start something where, you know, we want to do $1 million a year. So we're trying to start something small group where we have people that want to do $1 million a year. So whether that's with just real estate, investments, stocks, anything, like it's so funny because I'm going to start flipping houses soon enough. I would like to, like in the next year, I'd really like to. I talk to my buddy in my office about it all the time. But instead of, it's like, I don't want to sell houses for the rest of my life. I want to have passive income. I want to eventually do developments. I have my GC ready to go. I just haven't took the test yet, but I'm so motivated right now, and like, I just want to keep growing. And it's like, I look at myself and it's kind of funny because I go, I'm giving all these projects to my guys, but I'm like, but I want to do that, right? And again, there's ways around, how I can make that work as an agent too, which makes it more cost efficient and cost effective in the back end. But yeah, I think that's my next goal is, I want to make, in the next 5 years, I want to be able to make $1 million a year. And that's like super onto it. I have goals, I have plans, and then you're going to adjust them and things like that too. But that's my 5-year plan. In the next 3 to 5 years, make $1 million a year.
I like that. And I think it's one of the things that, like, when I've coached people, it's I always ask, the main question I always ask people is what does success mean to you, right? Because everybody's goal is different, right? Yeah. And I can help you create a plan. I can motivate you. I can put you in the right steps, but I need to know where you want to go, right? If you don't want to go to $1 million a year, or if you say, I want to make $100,000 a year, whatever it is that those people get, I can't, mess with your system to get to those points, right? Yeah. And knowing, hey, look, this is my motivation. Here's where I want to be. Yeah. Right. And then you're like you said, I'm going to fill in the steps and I'm going to adjust, adapt, and kind of figure things out along the way. Yeah. Right. But knowing what you want to do, I think that's huge.
Absolutely. I think, and it's funny, we was Marco recently, but, it's just like trusting the process. And I think once I dove all in, and again, like, I just started popping, really dominating, at least for my well-being, but, because I wasn't doing it full time. And I said, what, I have to just go all in. I said, screw everything. I was making good money. And I was like, but I want more. I just said, what, I'm diving all in. And then that's when I just said, trust the process. And that's where I saw the huge jump of like, that's all I had to do, 6 years ago. But I'm very grateful for where I'm at now, and growing and learning and educating myself, meeting people, meeting amazing agents. And that's all part of it too. It's agent relationships is very, 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 very key in this business.
But it's like you said, it's like originally we were talking about the sports side of it, right? It's like, in sports, you don't succeed until you go all in, right? Yeah. Until you buy into the program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then that's when the team starts doing well. That's when you start doing well, right? Or when you start betting on yourself and you're like, look, if nobody else is going to believe in me, I'm going to believe in myself.
You have to.
And that's, to me, that was something that happened to me as well, long time ago. And it was, I was always the guy where I was like, I'm a leader I was at a sales organization, and I was, top guy every once in a while. And then I was like, you know what? Everything's off, and I needed to fix some things. And then I bet on myself. I started educating myself. I started learning. I started just, taking in information. And I was like, let me put it out there. And I think that's when my surroundings changed. That's when the way I do things changed.
Did you ever find it with people that you were around too? You changed kind of your circle a little bit?
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
It's pretty wild, right?
Yeah. It's the conversation I have with my wife all the time. And it's just like, she always, she laughs at me a little bit. She's like, you don't really have a lot of friends. It's like, there's a couple different factors to that, right? And it's, I don't like to be around people that drain me. Yeah. They're just sitting there constantly complaining. It's just
mentality.
Tell me about that. It's just, I can't be around that. It's just because I'm the guy who, I like to motivate people. I like to be excited about stuff. I like to be able to say, hey, let's do stuff, have fun and do things. And if people are just constantly complaining, woe is me. I hate my life. I hate my job. Then what? I'm good.
Yeah. We're a lot alike in that way then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, one of the things, and I'm sure you've heard it a million times, right? When you're starting in this business and you're getting bigger, and like people always tell you, it's choose who you're around. Yeah. Right. Because those conversations, if you're hanging out with millionaires, you're going to become a millionaire.
Exactly.
If you're hanging out with guys, it's like, hey guys, let's go to the 2-for-1 value meal because we don't have cash today. That's going to be you.
That's going to be you. You'll absorb it like a sponge.
Yeah. And I'm not the guy who says turn your back on people that helped you get to where you are. It's not what I'm saying whatsoever. But you do choose who you invest in, who you choose, who you spend your time with.
No, 100%. Yeah. And you see the turnaround on it. You kind of, like I said, like there's, I have some buddies growing up and you're like, it's just sadly enough, like we're just not in the same, we're not the same anymore, And again, my dad would always tell me, he's like, you have all these friends now, and you have all these friends, and he goes, you might have this, you might have this. So as you get older. So
yeah,
and I'm okay with. I'm actually okay with that.
Right, because you give the time to your daughter, you give your time to your girlfriend, you give your time to your spouse, you give your time to the business, you give your time to yourself.
Yeah,
that really matters, right? And I think a lot of times when you're younger, you fill in your time with people, and you just want to fill the gaps. And as you get older and you're a little more mature, you figure out that it's okay to just, hey, you know what? I'm gonna sit at home, watch a game, hang out, respond to some emails, you know, work, and I'm good.
Yeah. I think environment's everything, though.
Environment is everything.
Environment, yeah, it's everything. You know, we have this thing at our office we did, which I don't know about it, but like it's like the cultural award, and I was like the new agent, and like that's something that they gave me, but it was like I love having a good environment, and I want everyone around me to win and have fun and be happy. And it's like I want it to be contagious. Where I walk in the office, I'm high-fiving people like, "What's up? How you doing?" Giving hugs, because I think everyone deserves that. Obviously, I want that for myself, but I think it's contagious. You know, you start giving that stuff to everybody else, and then they start giving it, and then it's just like, then every day you go into work, the environment is so positive and it's so fun, it's so fulfilling. It's like everyone wins, and it's like the coolest thing.
You got to celebrate everybody's wins.
Yeah, everyone.
And I think that's that team mentality.
Team, exactly.
That's the team mentality.
Exactly.
We know that you know
Exactly.
that if the team's not winning, then I'm not winning, right? And I think that
100%.
makes a big difference. It does make a big difference.
Yeah.
So anyway, Adam, I think we've taken up a lot of your time today, and I think we can sit here and talk forever and have another cocktail, you know. But I'm respectful of people's time, and I know we got to go out there and do the business, right? And
Absolutely.
like we talked about, this is part of it, where we're promoting stuff and we're talking about ourselves and we're talking about business and leadership and all these fun stuff. But at the end of the day, it's real estate, and it's that grind, and it's doing the things that you need to do to succeed, right? To
Absolutely.
show our kids, show our spouses, show anybody who's around us that you know, if they want to work with us, there's a reason for it.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's one of the things, again, that we've admired about you is that, you know, it's that, you know, giving off that vibe that's saying, hey, look, you know, I'm legit. I'm the guy that you want to work with. Right. And, you know, I'm professional, but we're going to have a good time. We're going to hang out. We're going to do all that. Right.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Definitely appreciate it.
I appreciate it so much. Yeah, this is fun. I like this. I'll do this all day long.
We'll probably have you back. Yeah, that's one of the things that, you know, we're trying to build a little portfolio of just fun conversations, and maybe we'll bring Marco in, and we'll do something. And we'll kind of do. That's one of the things that we're kind of growing into, and we're evolving, and we want to do some stuff like that where we'll take it out, you know, maybe to like a little bar or something. We just all kind of hang out and record, and
that'd be fun.
And just do a thing. So I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it, man. This is fun.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you guys for listening. And you know, we'll be out again, and see you guys next week.